Good afternoon. I call this meeting of the Michigan Public Service Commission to order on February 20th at 1:31 p.m. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chairman Talberg,
Present?
Commissioner Scripps,
Present.
Commissioner Phillips.
Present.
Madam Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, first up, we have approval of the agenda.
Madam Chair, I move approval of today's agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The agenda is approved. Next up, we have the meeting minutes.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the minutes of the regular commission meeting of February 6th, 2020.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The meeting minutes are approved. Item number 3, we have approval of orders on the consent agenda, and today the commission is assisted by Leah Arndt and staff.
Good afternoon. Today's consent agenda consists of 2 communication matters and 6 electric matters. The proposed orders and minute actions for each of these matters have been thoroughly vetted by the Commission's technical and legal staff and are ready for your approval.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the orders and minute actions on today's consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The order is approved, or orders are approved.
Item 4A1 is case number U-16901, which involves a request for Commission guidance relating to the handling of a 10th settlement payment from the United States Department of Energy. The ex parte order before you approves the continued consistent use of the immediate bill credit method for the 10th United States Department of Energy settlement payment with a 90-day extension, along with the continued consistent use of the immediate bill credit method for all future related settlement payments received hereafter.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the order in case U-16901.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The order is approved.
Item 4A2 is case numbers U-20471 et al., which involve an application filed by DTE Electric Company for approval of an integrated resource plan. Staff member Ryan LaRue is here to describe this order.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. In 2016, the Governor signed Public Act 341 into law, which required all rate-regulated utilities to submit integrated resource plans for Public Service Commission review and approval. An IRP is developed by an electric utility and outlines its future resource strategy, how the electric utility will provide reliable, cost-effective electric service to its customers while addressing the risks and uncertainties inherent in the electric utility industry. To approve an IRP, the Commission must find the plan represents the most reasonable and prudent means of meeting the electric utility's energy and capacity needs. The Commission has 300 days to approve, deny, or recommend changes to a utility's IRP. If the plan is approved, the Commission may grant cost approval for up to 3 years. Alternatively, if the Commission recommends any changes to the IRP, a utility has 30 days to consider the proposed changes and may submit a revised IRP. If a utility files a revised IRP, the Commission would have 30 days to issue a final IRP order. On March 29, 2019, DTE Electric Company filed an application with supporting testimony and exhibits in case number U-20471. 16 parties plus Commission staff participated in the proceeding. After careful and thorough review, in this 300-day order, the Commission is narrowing the scope of the IRP to its core elements surrounding demand-side activities to be undertaken within the first 3 years following the final order, deferring consideration of supply-side renewable resources additions to the next REP filing under an accelerated schedule, and deferring consideration of DTE Electric's capacity outlook to its next PURPA review under an accelerated schedule. The Commission therefore recommends the following changes to DTE's IRP. Revise the IRP to remove all unapproved new supply-side resources from its defined proposed course of action. Because the Commission finds that new supply-side resources occurring within the first 3 years of the planning period trigger the request for proposals requirements of Section 6T6, an RFP for all new supply-side resources included in the first 3 years of the planning period shall be filed in this docket in order for the Commission to approve the IRP with changes. The Commission is open to a motion to extend the statutory timelines to allow for consideration of this new evidence to be added to the record. To revise the IRP to reflect energy waste reduction levels at 1.75% in 2020, prorated based on the date of the final order in this case, and 2% in 2021. Revise the IRP by removing demand response proposed pilots other than the Bring Your Own Device and Electric Power Research Institute pilots that are already ongoing, and provide proposed tariff language for rate D 1.8 so that DT Electric can bid the programmable communicating thermostat pilot into MISO as a demand response resource. Revise the IRP to provide a rate impact analysis that reflects the decisions in the Commission's order. Also, within 90 days of the date of this order, DT Electric Company shall convene a technical conference with interested stakeholders for the purpose of identifying and evaluating alternative modeling software for use in developing IRPs, and shall, within 120 days from the date of this order, file a report on the results of the conference in this docket. DT Electric shall file its next amended renewable energy plan by April 1st, 2020. DT Electric shall, in its next Public Utility Regulatory Policies Act application with the Commission by November 13th, 2020. And finally, DT Electric shall file its next IRP by September 1st, 2023. Parties will have until March 6th to file comments in response to the Commission's recommendations. DT may submit a revised IRP within 30 days of the date of this order.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move approval of the order in case U-20471 et al.
Second.
And just before we go to a vote, with this being an interim order, the commissioners aren't planning to make comments on the substance of our decision, and it's all laid out in the order and speaks for itself. I did want to acknowledge my fellow commissioners for your hard work on this case and digging in. I know we had a lot of assistance from our advisory team and attorneys as we're applying this new statute and sorting through a really voluminous, complicated, and controversial record. I also want to give credit to the staff of working diligently from the outset of the energy laws being passed to set up this framework and chart a path forward. And I do think the steps taken today, if accepted as part of a revised IRP, will advance that goal going forward. I also want to acknowledge the participation by stakeholders. It was unprecedented in terms of the involvement in the case and reinforces for me the value of the fact-finding process through a contested case and really getting to the bottom of issues. And that was brought forward through the participation of both staff and other interveners in this case. I also want to acknowledge the comments from the public. These were truly unprecedented in terms of the number of comments that we received. There was over 1,000 just in the last day or so. Many throughout the course of the case. We had a large number of customers that attended the public hearing in Detroit, and for me, it just reinforces what we've suspected, that customers really want to be more engaged in helping to shape their energy future. So I think it's encouraging, and we like to hear from the public as part of these cases. And with that, I just appreciate the effort, and I look forward to bringing this to closure. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The order is approved.
Item 4A3 is case number U-20643, which involves an application by Upper Michigan Energy Resources Corporation seeking ex parte approval of the First Amendment to the Retail Large Curtailable Special Contract between Upper Michigan Energy Resources Corporation and Tilden Mining Company, LC. The order before you approves the First Amendment.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the order in case U-20643.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The order is approved.
Item 4A4 is case number U-20672, which involves an application by DTE Electric Company and DTE Gas Company for ex parte approval of a waiver of an attribute of the company's data privacy tariffs as it relates to personally identifiable information for the single specific purpose of assisting with the United States 2020 Census outreach. The order before you approves the waiver and the proposed non-disclosure agreement.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the order in case U-20672.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The order is approved. Next up, we have item number 5, public comment. Anyone seeking to address the commission can come forward. Okay, seeing no one. We have a few announcements. I'll turn to Commissioner Phillips first.
First, I would just like to recognize the staff's hard work in pulling together the energy waste reduction and renewable energy reports. Both of those reports have some really vital findings and data within them and are available on the MPSC's website. You can also find them on our social media feeds. Secondly, I just would like to thank our communications team, thank Al Freeman and current as well as former staff and commissioners who have worked to pull together some information for Black History Month related to African American commissioners, as well as significant African Americans in the energy and telecommunications industries. We will be putting out further information about the details that they collected in the next several weeks, but you can also follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn, and we have been giving weekly readouts of some of the background and history of these commissioners and of these individuals through those channels. So I just want to thank the staff again for pulling that information together, and look forward to continuing to communicate that to the public.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner Scripps.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Two things. The first is, as I think many folks know, the Mid-American Regulatory Conference is a group of regulators. It's the sort of NARUC for the Midwest, Great Plains, and Texas, 14 states in that region. And each year, MARC, as it's called, hosts an annual conference that rotates around the region. And this year, I'm pleased that Michigan will be hosting the MARC conference June 21st through 24th in Grand Rapids. It's the first time that we've hosted since, I think, 2009, and the first time Grand Rapids has ever hosted the MARC conference in the sort of 50-some years that it's been taking place. We've got a number of exciting main stage discussions planned on energy infrastructure, grid modernization, the shift to an increasing role of the customer in the industries we regulate, and since we're in his hometown, the energy legacy of President Gerald R. Ford, as well as breakout sessions on various electric, gas, water, and telecommunications issues. We're working to finalize moderators and other speakers, and more information will be rolled out in coming weeks, but registration is now open, and I think it's going to be a great conference and a chance to highlight Grand Rapids in the state of Michigan.
Thank you for your leadership, President Scripps. It has just, you've really stepped up to the plate in terms of organizing this conference. I know there's a lot of staff that are also working on it, but really appreciate your leadership, and it's acknowledged throughout the footprint from the outset as you joined in taking that role. So thank you, and love to see Grand Rapids featured. In terms of leadership roles, I also just would note that Commissioner Scripps was also named the secretary of the organization of MISO State, so part of the executive committee there. And the Mid-Continent Independent System Operator runs about a $40 billion energy market a year, and large amounts of transmission investments at stake that are reviewed on an annual basis. And so a lot at stake for ratepayers here in Michigan and other implications. And so being active in that organization and representing Michigan and coordinating with those states is, appreciate your effort there. Also, I don't know if we mentioned this, but Commissioner Phillips was named to the NARUC Task Force for Broadband. What was the actual title of it?
Broadband Expansion Task Force, yeah.
Broadband
It's
Expansion.
changed several times.
Okay. Well, and the goal there, there's still areas in Michigan and throughout the country where we don't have adequate broadband service, in some cases no service. And so working with colleagues from around the country to change that, and appreciate your leadership and effort involved with that. And then also serve as the Public Service Commission's task force representative on the governor's new poverty task force. And again, this is vital, particularly for our work at the Public Service Commission, with customers having a hard time paying utility bills and the burden of energy costs for low to moderate income households, and ways to counter that. So thank you for that. All right, with that, did you have a final?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
If I could take a sort of moment of personal privilege. As you know, our meetings are live streamed and archived. It's one of the ways that we're working to improve the transparency and accessibility of the commission to the public we serve. And we have a regular viewer of our videos who is celebrating his birthday this weekend. John Weitzel from Grand Rapids will celebrate his 96th birthday on Sunday. He's led a remarkable life while in college at the College of Worcester in Ohio. He met and married his wife, Ann Lou, known to most everyone as Dixie. And together they actually wrote the College of Worcester fight song. Black and Gold is still being played today, 74 years after it was written. He interrupted his studies to join the Army Air Corps in World War II, and while that branch ultimately became the U.S. Air Force, to this day he stands for "The Army Goes Marching Along" and not "Off They Go into the Wild Blue Yonder" during the Armed Forces salute. He spent his career as a highly respected music teacher and marching band instructor in Alliance, Ohio, before retiring to the Grand Rapids area. But retirement did not slow him down. He continues to be an active musician, playing his baritone in, I think, 6 active bands right now as he prepares to turn 96. And actually, since turning 90, wrote a book with Leslie Himmel on his childhood friendship with Henry Mancini. So a remarkable life, but from my perspective, his greatest achievements have been being the world's best grandpa to my wife Jamie and her sister Christy, and being a wonderful great-grandfather to his 4 great-grandchildren, including his namesake, John Weitzel Scripps, my son. So happy birthday, John. Thanks for being such a loyal viewer and for all that you do for us.
We should like wave to him.
I know, right?
Okay. All right. Well, with that, our next commission meeting is March 5th at 1:30 p.m. And that concludes our meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.